And this is like, yeah, Cronenberg's idea of virtual reality, where everyone's like stuffing like intestines into their buttholes, like.
Yeah, and going to Chinese restaurants and like eating giant shrimp and being sad about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Podtoid number 159. Got it right this week. In case you haven't heard the news, it is very sad that Podtoid this week has been sorted into the Slytherin house, which is very upsetting. We put the sorting hat on its head, and I've just started watching Harry Potter. So that's why I said that, because I like to factor in my current interest of the day into the podcast. And I was thinking that Podtoid lately hasn't been sorcerous enough. There's not enough. There's a bit of magic, but there is not enough. It's not ensorcelled, is the problem.
Is that the word for it? Ensorcelled?
Yes, it is.
It's not remotely a word.
It is. Ensorcelled is a word, and I never get to use it. So from now on, welcome to Ensorcelltoid.
Can we just really quick, can I break it down that Jim, you're Slytherin, Holmes, you're Hufflepuff, Tara, you're Ravenclaw, and I would be Gryffindor.
I hate Harry Potter.
Yeah, well, you're a math major, so you're all wise and learned, and Jim, you're inherently evil, and Holmes, you're very, very sweet and well-meaning, and I am a total frat boy. So 10 points for Gryffindor, bro.
I thought those were the good guys, and then there was the cuddly guys, and then the girls, and then the blonde guy with the mean face there, right?
What? I thought that you would be into Harry Potter.
No, I don't like things that are not interesting at all. And Harry Potter, sadly, just recycled ideas. Well, there's nothing original there. She was like, all right, take some characters from Troll, take some stuff from Tolkien, take the whole, you might turn to the dark side Luke thing from Star Wars, turn it into a book franchise to people who are too young to know better, and there you go. Nothing against it. It's well done stuff.
Look, but it also has Ralph Fiennes without a nose going, Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
Harry Potter, I'm going to do a magic trick at you.
She's not the best writer of all time, but she took, she made a detective. It's a series of detective books. They're solving mysteries, but they're about magic school. If she's not original, then neither is Star Wars and neither is Tarantino. She took elements from other things and combined them, and there are no new ideas.
I think we can all agree that J.K. Rowling wrote a series of very competent first draft movie scripts.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were turned into films.
Yeah, and the actors are great. Like you were saying, I loved the last Harry Potter
movie. Harry Potter.
I haven't seen part 2 yet, but part 1 of the Deathly Hallows. If they just made a compilation of and Alan Rifkin too. Rifkin?
Rifkin?
Yeah.
Alan Rifkin sounds like a gnome that visits you in the night.
It's a horrible thought.
A satchel of wishes. Just hello.
I met Alan Rifkin.
Rickman,
I've got some wishes for you.
Hans Gruber.
Picked from the Moon Meadow. That was the Moon Meadow, in case anybody wondered what that was. That's a concept of my own design. This is going to be in my own series of books.
What?
Jimmy Joe Jackson and the Moon Meadow.
Could be good.
Oh yeah. I've cast the movie in my head. Willem Dafoe will play the majestic moon monarch, and Danny DeVito will be his Jester Patches.
Well, who?
Jester
Patches.
Who's Patches?
Danny
He's
DeVito.
the Jester.
Oh, I thought you said Chester Patches.
Fiddle my ree and diddle my dee. Welcome to the Moon Meadow. Look at me. Welcome to Podtoid, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so yes, you've been watching Harry Potter lately, and we've all agreed that they're not terrible, but not the best ever.
Yeah,
we can move on.
We can move on.
Yeah.
We can move on.
Yeah. All right, sounds good.
Okay. As always, we're going to kick off as we do every week now, with the self-promotion, administration, just the shit we want to get out the way section.
Sure.
Yes. Does anybody have anything that's going on around the internet they'd like to shill?
I started a new event on Twitter every Monday. I post a mashup of a Miyazaki character, Hayao Miyazaki, creator of My Neighbor Totoro and Spirited Away, plus something else, Miyazaki Mashup Mondays. Check it out on my Twitter account. It's the best thing I'm doing right now.
Well, there you go.
Let's all plug our Twitters first of all, because we never do.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Jonathan, yours is at Tronnots, yes?
That's right. Tronnots, Knotts, like Don Knotts. That's my
Tron,
Twitter.
like the film with the bikes.
That's right. It's the only thing in the movie. Bikes. Yes.
Max, what's your Twitter account, mate?
It's at Max Scoville.
That's simple.
Just one
That's
word,
cool.
very simple. Well, Tara Long is Tara Longest.
Yes.
Which is an ironic name for
Which
Twitter.
is it's a play on words, like what Fozzie Bear would say in the Muppets.
Yes.
Waka
Also,
waka
Harold
waka.
was taken.
Yeah, and mine is Jim Sterling, all one word, don't worry about it, just add me if you want. I've almost got 10,000 followers, and when I do, I know someone at Twitter who will give me a verified status, which I could have had already, but I thought it was too arrogant to do under 10,000 followers. As soon as I hit 10,000 followers, I'm going to do it without a fucking second thought, mate. Verified account, celebrity.
So how do you get them to do it?
I don't know. I think usually you have to be legit famous.
You
But
have to get
What metric do they
shots.
measure that by?
I don't know, like,
Followers you have?
I guess the likeliness of someone making a fake account. I don't know. I've already got a fake account though, so I probably should get that verified thing. I've got two fake accounts actually.
I have my own fake account that's at not Max Scoville, which was my old account that I used because I was embarrassed of Twitter. And it's funny because it's a private account, and it's the first one that comes up if you Google me. And I get all these requests from people, and it's kind of a cool way of keeping track of who's actually paying attention. I got a follow request from at G4TV on there, and I was like, someone's keeping an eye on the competition.
Nice.
Yeah, that's fun.
Oh, that's Twitter done.
Oh wait, but I had one thing to plug.
Okay.
I would like people to if I and my like stupid enthusiasm for Saints Row the Third has encouraged anyone to want to buy the game, they should tweet at Volition or at THQ or at Saints Row that I helped them get interested in the game and that they should name a car after me in Saints Row the Fourth. It would be a coupe Scoville, and it would be a Cadillac with mud tires.
A what? A cap black?
A Cadillac with mud tires.
Oh, a Cadillac. I'm hearing everything wrong today. He said cat black.
Cat rack, yes. Cat tits.
Cat tits. Jim, you won't understand that because you haven't watched our show.
What? I pretended to be Jim.
Did you get the reference,
I
Holmes?
did. I got it. And even if I didn't, cat
Did
tits
you?
is just inherently funny.
Yes, it is.
You really got it?
Where's it? Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that was from. What is it? Was that Friday
I
or
assume
Monday?
that nobody watches our show except
was
Max
yesterday.
and I, and sometimes not even me.
No, I watch it. I love you guys. I want to look at you. I want to think about you.
I know,
Love
you're
it.
just busy dealing with heroin addicts. Day in, day out.
Among other things, yeah. Man, they're so funny. They're like, hey, I want to leave the hospital. I'm like, really? Why's that? No reason. I'm like, you want to use heroin, don't you? Maybe. I'm like, what did we say about that heroin? It's ruined your entire life. Don't you want to quit yet? And then they don't quit yet. Blah, blah, blah. It's only worrisome when they die.
Wow.
Otherwise, it's cool.
Yeah, other than that, it just sucks, but it's not the worst. But when they die, Jesus, I hate that. Only happens usually 2 or 3 times every 10 years or so, so that's good. Not to encourage people to do heroin. It's not all that safe.
Hey kids, your odds are good. Give it a try. Give it a gamble.
We'll get to meet Holmes someday.
Yeah,
I'll tell you the
God,
problem.
This is such a warped show.
I'll tell you the problem with heroin addiction, right?
Yeah.
This is my beef. with the whole heroin addiction thing. It's about time, heroin addiction has been a big problem, and it's about time I said something. Okay? I think heroin addiction and all kinds of drug addiction have been done a terrible disservice by the American broadcasting station known as TLC, which used to stand for the Learning Channel, but should now just call itself the Ha Ha Look at All the Freaks Channel.
I thought it was the Mom Channel.
I thought that was A&E.
No. TLC now is the worst.
Oh wait, TLC has that weird baby toddlers and tiaras. That's on TLC.
Oh, is that on TLC?
TLC basically is a channel that stands for everything I hate, and yet I can't stop watching it. It's the weirdest. It's like a really sexy Nazi in that regard. Like, I know it's wrong, but I'm gonna, do it a fuck sex, basically. So that is my... Anyway, we're talking about heroin addiction, guys.
TLC is like Maury Povich, the channel.
Is it that bad?
Well, it's like a freak show, but it's like a freak show in denial, where it's like you're not pointing and laughing. You're like, you're nodding and like frowning like concernedly. You're
Some
like,
of us
oh
are
man,
pointing and laughing.
Those toddlers are in tiaras. That's very worrisome.
But they got this show called Hoarders on it, which is people collecting things, crushing their cats under garbage by accident.
I love Hoarders, dude. I watch that shit every Wednesday.
It's amazing. It is amazing. But the point is, they've also got a show called My Strange Addiction. And this, I think, is where it's doing a disservice to drug addicts because they're boring now. Like, no one gives a fuck about someone on dull, dreary heroin when you can watch a girl pull out her hair and lick the follicles off the end of it. There's no competition. You've got guys addicted to running. You've got people addicted to dolls and puppets. You've got this... There was this one fucking bird the other night, fucking freak, who couldn't go to sleep without a hairdryer on in the bed with her. She burned herself with it by accident, Jonathan.
Oh, is that what happened to her?
Essentially, you're wasting your life dealing with heroin addicts because they're old news now. They're they are to hairdryer addicts as the Game Gear is to the iPhone. Get the times, man. And that's my problem with heroin addiction, guys.
That's your problem with heroin addiction.
I can't. Well, I think if they jazzed it up a bit, every time they do heroin, they have to have a lit candle up their ass or something like that. That would make me care more, but I can't give a shit. I'm sorry if we've got any heroin addicts listening, and let's face it, we've probably got loads. I apologise. I cannot sympathise with you because I watched a guy who was addicted to puppets and talked through them.
Have you seen the show Obsessed on A&E?
I've not seen that one. No.
It's also pretty good. It's got people who are with really weird OCD problems. It's a show all about people with OCD.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, so people who obsessively clean their apartments, they can't hold down jobs and shit because of it. It's really weird. It's not nearly as entertaining though as Hoarders or
Hoarders is fantastic. But yeah, again, welcome to Podtoid. There will be more grief porn recommendations for you next week.
Oh, I got a good one. It's a documentary called I think it's called The Woman Who Married the Eiffel Tower. And it's about these people who are
sexually attracted to buildings.
They are objects, buildings. There's a woman who, at the end, she fucks the Eiffel Tower.
Wait, how? The side of it?
She, buys a ticket, goes up in the elevator, and then is wearing a skirt with no panties on, and she just gets on the railing and just grinds on it for a while.
Is she attractive?
No, not remotely.
Why would she be? Yeah,
right.
sorry.
No, she's like an Olympic class archer, and she's in love with her bow. And she was madly in love with it, and she was winning archery contests left and right, and then she, I guess, had a falling out with it or something, and lost a contest.
Wow.
Yes.
That is, I deal with the craziest of people, and I never meet anyone like that. That sounds a little made up. I'm sorry to squash the fun, but I would.
Fun squasher.
Yeah, I squash it. Squash the fun.
Ugh.
Yeah, and
Go away,
great.
Holmes.
I think it's great that heroin is not such a whoa big deal, because it's very awkward when people they think I'm going to judge them because they're doing heroin, but it's it's not that big of a deal at this point. I've met hundreds of thousands of heroin addicts at this point, so it's just like
To any impressionable kids listening to the show right now, you heard it from a qualified social worker. Heroin, not that big of a deal.
No, it's not something. It's not compared to sticking a candle up your butt and lighting it on fire or whatnot.
I want opium dens to make a comeback. Like, I want, those hipsters who smoke out of, like, corncob pipes. I want them to start going to opium dens and having, like, little Chinese boys hold, like, pipes for them while they lie on these, like, satin pillows.
We should start one.
I've been saying this for weeks.
I've just had this image of myself in a white suit with an eye patch on a bamboo chair.
And
going, fan me harder, Chinese boys. I'm looking down on my opium den.
I remember reading something about the English poet Samuel Coleridge, who wrote, like, Kubla Khan and Rime of the Ancient Mariner, and he would just go on these, like, month-long opium binges where he would just be, like, out of commission for like months, and then he'd come out of them and he'd write a 128-page poem and be like, oh, well, that'll pay the rent for a bit, and then he'll go back to his opium den for months on end.
That's how some people want to do it. Yeah, I think it's bad.
Say you and I get completely blotto and stick a bunch of feathers up Henderson's arse? He'll be known as the Peacock Boy of San Padre. I wish to have more wine. My heart has faded to grey this afternoon.
Wow, you really...
Bring me my poetry, Chinese boy!
Yeah, that's not how modern opiate abuse is. It's a lot of just stealing oxycontin. That should, it wouldn't be great, but it would be better than what they do now, which is just, buy oxycontin off the street and stay at the homeless shelter and.
It's so hot. I do not want to go out this afternoon, but I must. I must buy more golden frogs with bejeweled eyes.
Okay, the thing about
Podtoid is like one of the weirdest ones we've ever done.
Yeah, this has been trouble.
Sorry,
Max is trying to say a thing. I'm sorry. Max.
Yes,
I was going to say that it's the thing that makes me sad about drug use in this kind of current day and age is that it's, Miami Vice is a fantastic show, and it's pretty much solely about cocaine and Cuban men bringing cocaine to Florida, and Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas stopping them. And the soundtrack is awesome. And if that was about people buying pills on the street, it would be not remotely fucking interesting. But it's because, like, cocaine was so glamorous and there's so much, like, style to it. And you get, like, similar things with, like, heroin and grunge and opium dens and little Chinese boys and men with eye patches and fizz. And it's like, you get, like, modern stuff and it's like, yeah, man, let's get some meth from that guy in the trailer. And then, like, we can go, like, do it. And then
You're right.
It's just like, I want some glamour to it.
I'll tell you what, though, like, we already discussed what the glamorous new addictions are. So my proposition, remake Miami Vice. Hey, why not cast Willem Dafoe as one of the characters? This is Daryl Noir, one of our listeners, said that we're doing too much Willem Dafoe stuff and that we're hammering the joke into the ground. So this is my Willem Dafoe pitch for this week.
Okay.
Miami Vice, whatever. Willem Dafoe plays a Miami guy who does.
He should be Can he be the black guy?
Yes, he is the black law guy from Miami. Yeah, he's both. He is both of Miami Vice's guys.
Michael Ivory.
Michael Stipe. Good suggestion, Jonathan. Michael Stipe and Willem Dafoe.
Seymour Hoffman.
And Philip Seymour Hoffman play 3 detectives in Miami in the Miami Vice remake, stopping a drug kingpin who is importing toilet paper into Miami for people in trailers to eat. We combine the glamorous new wave of addiction with the old glamour of Miami Vice.
Shit, that's actually kind of brilliant. That would be like if you take that whole kind of obsessed or like the creepy TLC addictions and then cross it with Miami Vice. You've got like the X-Files meets Miami Vice. They're like busting addictions that are really weird. Supernatural addictions.
You'll never stop my shipment of broken clocks. I'm giving them to an 80-year-old woman to hoard.
None of those addictions are legal, though, so it's not really much.
They are in my... This is a dystopian future Miami in the 80s. In which hoarding and eating toilet paper is illegal. You have to wet your ass with palm tree leaves.
That sure is dystopian.
Toilet paper has been outlawed because too many people are eating it because they saw it on TLC and they thought it was a good idea.
Can we say it's a dystropical future?
Yes! Oh my...
Isn't that a good word?
Yes! That was me, like, just literally shitting myself. How great that was. Right, okay. Miami, My Strange Addiction v. Vice. Right, that works. Willem Dafoe, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Michael Stipe, 3 Miami detectives, and Yaphet Kotto, 4 Miami detectives fighting against toilet paper that's being imported because people are eating it, and broken clocks for trailers. Brilliant.
For the record, the original Miami Vice had some pretty awesome guest stars. There's an episode where Frank Zappa plays a coke dealer who's like talking about smuggling his weasel dust. Smuggling my weasel dust into the country. It's really cool. There's another one where Bruce Willis is a wife beater.
That must have been a stretch, yeah.
And Gene Simmons has a yacht and is just bad on the yacht. I don't really know what else he does.
Gene Simmons bad.
That's all he needs to do. Yeah, he just needs to show up on the yacht.
It's a brilliant show.
I'm surprised that hasn't been a new reality TV show for him yet. Bad on the yacht.
Bad on the yacht.
I'm Gene Simmons and I'm bad on the yacht. Look at my tongue. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
that's how he sounds. That's how he sounds.
So, can we do the games of the week? Because I actually played a whole lot of games this week as my homework.
Let me just quickly... This was supposed to take 10 minutes. Fucking hell. I just want to quickly say Destructoid got a mention in Nintendo, the official magazine. I think in the UK, if you want to pick that up. It's actually an interview with comedians Ray Peacock and Ed Gamble, who, if you follow my Twitter feed or you just know me very well, you know I'm a huge fan of Peacock and Gamble. And they do. And I want to kind of just return the favour. They got a podcast called the Peacock and Gamble podcast. It's fucking brilliant. So listen to that. And they're also doing the Edinburgh Fringe this week. I think it's this week, up in Scotland, or whenever the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is. They got the Peacock and Gamble emergency broadcast. If you're in the area, or if you're interested in comedy, check it out, because they're fucking great. And so, yes, that's that out of the way.
So what were they doing in the official magazine?
I don't know. Yeah, they like video games, huh?
Oh, good for them. Okay, yeah.
Max, what have you been playing this week?
Yeah.
Let's see. I've been playing Saints Row 2, first of all, which I love. I also played some of Phantom Hourglass for the Nintendo DS, which I wasn't a fan of because it was using Zelda with a stylus. I don't like that.
Totally agree with you. Just wanted to totally agree with you.
Holmes and I were arguing about this, and he was saying how the PSP has like touch sensitivity, and when I played the demo, PS Vita, yes, that's the one.
Right.
I played Uncharted on there, and it's like the cool thing was they were like, yeah, it uses the basic Uncharted controls, and if you want, you can use the touchscreen. And that's kind of what I was hoping the Zelda would be like. It wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe for certain things it would force you to do it, but I was like, if you handed it to someone who never played with a touchscreen and were just like, hey, play some Zelda, they would just open the menu up repeatedly.
Yeah. My problem with Phantom Hourglass is not so much that it's got touchscreen in it, it's that they tried to use touchscreen for everything. And the touchscreen is a one-touch thing, so that all you can do is drag a stylus and hope the game works it out. But when you've got to use it to walk, push it to the edge to run, and make a circular motion to make him dodge, as well as all the other items and things, it confuses the game. Because that's too much input for a little DS game to handle. That's my problem with it. It's you can't rely on touchscreen to do everything for you if you're going to do that type of game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was well implemented enough, but like Max, I hated that they didn't give us the option to play it another way. It would have been easy enough for them to do, but they stubbornly refused and said, "We know better than the player.
Yeah.
We know this is what you want," and it's in fact not what I want. I hate having to touch the character that I'm presumably supposed to be embodying and controlling in a game, because if I'm touching him, I can't pretend that I am him because I'm constantly rubbing the guy, You can't rub a guy and pretend you're a guy at the same time, right?
Oh, sure you can.
What if
you gotta be really drunk, though.
I think touchscreen controls work really well for stuff where you're interacting with something on the other side of the screen. Like in Nintendogs, for just a quick example, you're playing as you, and you're rubbing a dog. Works. But I can't play as...
Holy shit!
What?
Sasha Grey's going to be in Saints Row the Third.
Oh, porn star.
A good one as well, because
I'm so glad you said who, Holmes?
I have no idea who that is.
She's a porn star, but she's great because she genuinely enjoys it, which is always good. You don't want the ones who are crying on the inside. That is fantastic. Hulk Hogan's in it as well. Carry on.
What's the person's name?
So you can look it up later in Wank Spider or something.
I just like to know my video game news. Yeah. Right, wait, I saw her on that thing. She hosts a show on that channel that's supposed to talk about video games. G4. Right. She
did that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
Zelda. Someone was saying that they were don't play Phantom Hourglass or what is it? Phantom Truck
Spirit Tracks.
Spirit Tracks
is a little better. Spirit Tracks.
They were like, don't go into those expecting them to be Zelda games, and I'm like, well, shit. They probably should have called them something else then, shouldn't they?
They're very much Zelda games. They're just Zelda games.
But you can't use the buttons. It felt more fucking Chip's Challenge than Zelda to me.
Well, I can't remember Chip's Challenge. You've talked to me about that before.
I love Chip's Challenge. I want to...
Well, you like Chip's Challenge, so you would
I literally have Titan mitts. I have big hands, and holding my DS is difficult as it is when I'm trying to play it with the buttons. And using a stylus, I was getting video games are supposed to give you carpal tunnel, not writer's cramp. Right. Just putting it out there.
They need to give you... Nintendo needs to listen to this and get you a DS XL, because you deserve it.
I would love it if more things gave me cool stuff. But what else did I play? I played the Catherine demo. Edge.
I still haven't had a chance to play it. I downloaded it, and I have not had a chance.
Max Schofield just gave you the full experience. You don't need to play it now.
I don't know. I'm notorious for liking stuff like that. What's that?
I'm torn on whether or not I like it, or whether or not I want it. Because the puzzle aspect is kind of fun, but I don't like it when I'm on a puzzle time limit. I don't like being stressed out about puzzles. I love Portal because there's only the boss fights. Are you under a time constraint? The rest of the time you're kind of just figuring shit out.
Right.
But yeah, and then the whole anime thing where you're cheating on your girlfriend or something, that's is interesting. I mean, there's one thing that no one told me about that was there's the whole text message thing where you can choose whether or not to be a motherfucker or not to your friends, which is, I don't know.
There's 7 or 8 endings, I think, based on if you're a motherfucker or not. Yeah.
I don't know. I think if keeping one style of puzzle gameplay really limits it, if they had kind of a Mario Party approach where you're doing different stuff in his dreams or, in the game, it would have worked.
Yeah, people would have liked that a lot more. The funniest thing to me about Catherine is that there's an arcade game in the bar to give you some variety. You can go play the arcade game.
Yeah.
And it's just the exact same game.
Yeah, right?
That's the only thing he ever does in his life.
I really like cube puzzles that much. For a little bit they're okay, but I couldn't justify paying $60 for that game, so...
I think few people will, sadly. The demo probably hurt it.
I played Missplosion Man too, which is I love the guys at Twisted Pixel, and the game cracked me up. But again, it's one of those things where I don't know if I could beat it. Tara and I were talking about this, and it's I just kind of suck at it. There are aspects to the platforming that are too difficult for me, and I'd love to enjoy the full experience, but I might just hold out for Gunstringer as far as Twisted Pickle experience.
The last boss is really awesome, though. I mean, you kind of have to do it. Yeah, and the ending, I won't give too much away, but I will tell you that it's live action full motion video. Kind of needs to be seen. Yeah, you gotta watch it. Yeah, it's really good.
I hope the third one is like Grandpa Splosion Man or something.
Well, if they follow the Pac-Man thing, which they've done so far, it'll be Baby Pac-Man and then Junior Pac-Man or Junior Splosion Man. Yeah.
But that's interesting. Stupid. They should be like Dr. Uncle Splosion Man.
And they are funny enough to do that. I don't know if they
Mr. Splosion Man.
Thing. Mr.
Splosion Man. Or Dr. Splosion Man. He becomes one of the scientists himself. I don't know.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah, I could see that.
Splosion Kong.
That would get him in trouble. Yeah, they're walking the line, as it is. Is that all? There's more.
Was that everything? I don't remember. That's it. That's good enough. Whatever.
Okay,
I love Saints Row 2 so much, though.
We got to cut the video game discussion short because we haven't talked enough bollocks about anything that isn't to do with video games. Jonathan Holmes. I never start with you second, so let's do that now. What have you been playing this week?
Not a lot. This week has kind of been rough. I've been writing a lot. I've been trying to do a lot of features and news. I wrote a crap load of news on Sunday, some of which just turned out completely retarded by the end because I wrote too much too quickly. And I wrote a bunch last night too, so I didn't have time to play much. Been meaning to play Catherine demo. I bought Pac-Man Championship Edition DX again on the PlayStation 3, but I haven't even had a chance to boot it up. I'm going to buy Space Invaders Infinity Gene, but I haven't had a chance. So, yeah, just the usual 3DS stuff, usually to help me go to sleep. Donkey Kong, Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D, a little bit more of Ocarina Time, some Street Fighter in there. Yeah, most of the time I play the 3DS, it's as I'm trying to drift off to bed.
You know, I just realized it. You help like crazy people and like heroin addicts all day. That totally explains why you like cute shit. Like,
you're not the first person to guess that, but I loved cute shit forever. I loved cute shit even when I was like 4 or 5. I like stuff that I feel is really genuine and isn't made just to try to get my money. Like that the creators of it really meant it, and I get that from cute stuff more than like a lot of other stuff that's out there today. But there's some, I think Hamtaro, not into that. That sucks. Kidding me? No way.
Okay, there's a great anime called Ibichu, which is Ebichu, which is basically Hamtaro, but really fucked up and depressing.
Sounds good.
It's about this hamster that's like lives with this single, like I think she's like 25 and she's supposed to be like finding a husband, but she's just having like really shitty time with like crappy boyfriends, and she just abuses the shit out of her hamster. And like she'll be getting railed by her like crappy cheating boyfriend, and he'll come out and be like, "No, save your virginity! You're supposed to be a lady!" And she'll be like, "Fuck you!" and throw the hamster against the wall, and there'll just be like a fat blood streak. So Google that.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and it's hilarious.
What are you talking about?
What's it called again? Just for our listeners.
Ebichu. Ebichu.
That sounds like Podtoid, the TV show.
It's so good.
I like it. That is now the official show of Podtoid.
I will watch it.
Damn right. Got anything else for us, Holmes?
Not that I remember. Oh, I'm stuck on one of the bosses on hard in Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles. I play that to unwind sometimes. Shoot the zombies, No, I'm stuck in it. Hard difficulty. It's hard. I don't care what anybody says. There's on-rail shooters. People say, they're not worth playing because you can beat them in a few hours. No, you can't. Not if they're hard.
I love on-rail shooters. To be honest, I mean, yeah, I like a good on-rail shooter.
Me too.
I do like them. I don't like it when it's Connect and that's all you can do on them. But when I'm in the mood, I'll play a good on-rail shooter.
Yeah, I don't really like them with Connect thus far. I just don't like having to do that. I like pointing something at the screen instead of my body. I don't want to point my body. Yep.
That's all. A very pointy body, so.
No, it's all round, soft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Just talking about it. Yeah, just talking about it. It's fine.
Tara, what have you been playing?
Finally finished New Vegas.
Hey!
There are 42 hours, which, as I understand it, is pretty standard for that game, so I don't feel bad about myself or anything. Yeah, and I'm proud to say that my actions completely destroyed humanity. So there's that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's intense. I'm still disappointed that you can't keep playing the game after you beat it. I feel like that's a major flaw in the Fallout games, but
It's always been people had a big problem with that in Fallout 3 till they brought out the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually I'm downloading Old World Blues right now, so
Hey. I just got a code for that, actually. I'll have to try that later.
yeah. What else? Oh, well, my roommate moved out and took the PS3 with him, so I've accepted the fact now that I won't be playing Heavy Rain anytime soon. So I went back and started playing Indigo Prophecy.
Whoa, you did that?
Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't think you would do that.
Why?
What do you think?
You're not a fan?
Indigo Prophecy?
Yeah.
It has its charms. It's got its Sci-Fi Channel original movie.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm kind of liking the paranormal aspect to it, you know.
Yeah, it's corny, but it's got heart. They
I
tried.
feel like it's less corny than I was expecting. Like, okay, the graphics are terrible, obviously, but the actual dialogue is not as bad as I was expecting, or the acting.
Have you gotten to the part where the funky African American gentleman wanders around in the library with the Chinese man and pushes books, for an hour?
No, I'm only about like an hour, maybe an hour and a half into it, so I haven't gotten.
It really it puts its best foot forward, and then after a while, it's just, "Hey, Chan, what am I doing with these books?"
I'd heard that it gets just completely ridiculous in the last like third game.
Yeah, the last quarter of it is just ridiculous.
I'm kind of looking forward to getting to that part.
Yeah, and I loved that game when it first came out. I replayed it. Started replaying it a few months ago, and it did not age well. And of course, in a post-Heavy Rain world, it's like now I can see all of David Cage's problems. I can see his damage that I couldn't see when I first played the game before I knew what a shit that man was.
Well, I actually saw a lot of similarities between that and LA Noire, just in the whole investigative aspect. But it's better in some ways and it's worse in some ways. I like that you can play both sides. You can play, the killer and the investigator.
Sure.
I think that's interesting. But like I said, I haven't gotten to experience a lot of the ridiculous aspects of the game yet. So
yeah, you'll get there. It gets a little bit. It's hard to take seriously after a while. Yeah.
Also, it started the tradition of David Cage putting inappropriate, awkward, teenage grade sex scenes into his games. Actually, I don't know if that's actually in the US version. I think that may have been cut along with some of the other stuff.
Oh, is that right?
I played the European version the first time round, which is called Fahrenheit, and that had some content. I believe it had a sex scene in it that isn't in Indigo Prophecy.
Damn.
Do you see tits or what's up?
You see her squirters.
No way.
What?
No, I didn't see squirters. Her squirters.
Oh, there you go.
Tits?
Yeah, I tried. Yeah, her boobs.
Her milk tumors.
Oh.
No, that's not
her milk tanks.
Yeah.
Oh, a milk tank.
Milk jugs.
I love
Her
milk
lon-lons.
Oh, you guys make boobs seem so fun. Normally, they are pretty fun.
I make boobs seem lots of fun.
I bet you do, you guy with the girls there.
Dirty fucker, good lord.
Yeah. I was gonna say something. Nope, forget it. How about you guys?
What?
Video game talk? I think
Video
we're on
games.
Jim?
Yeah. I've been playing From Dust.
That game.
Is that out yet?
No.
Okay.
I'm under embargo for the review. I believe, like with most of these things, I can talk about like stuff people have talked about in previews. So, I can tell you it's very strange, but also like strangely conventional. Like there is a lot of convention to it once you get over the sort of unique presentation. At the moment, I am waiting for it to really kick off. And I've only really played like the intro, so I'm really waiting for something to proper start happening. And I'm getting a sense of that. I'm worried that I'll just spend the whole game waiting for it to kick off. Hopefully, something will happen, and it's not just what I've been doing. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to be a unique one. I think there's going to be some varied opinion on it when it comes out. So that's something. Played Bastion, of course, which is now out. As I said last week.
Yeah, just saw your review.
Yeah, I was disappointed by that.
Would you give it?
6.5. I believe it's a decent game. It's all right. It's solid. It's not half as good as it wants you to think it is. That's my issue with it. Like that whole narrator who narrates your every move, he doesn't. he simply doesn't. It looks more dynamic than it is. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, but as soon as you see the smoke screen drop, like it becomes glaringly obvious just how rigid that whole narrating thing is. And it's no different from something that was already done by I never know how you pronounce it, Inxile, when they did A Bard's Tale, that one on PC and PS2 last generation. Which had a comedy narrator in it who said funny things throughout the adventure, except that was entertaining and funny, and this one is more like oblique and vague, and trying to look more mysterious than it is. And because he's the only source of dialogue in the game, the whole story just feels very alienating. Like, it's just him telling you what is happening, and no one else really speaks for most of the course of the game, and it's just you and this guy, which, I guess in the right circumstances, could be quite intimate, but in this game, it has a very alienating effect. So, yeah, I mean, I certainly suggest people buy it. It's a nice little hack and slash. I don't think the gameplay is much evolved from a browser-based MMORPG, but a high-quality one. And there's a lot of content in it. So yeah, like, I'm certainly not saying the game is bad. A lot of people seem to think I am. From what I've heard, NeoGaf aren't happy with me, but then they're never happy with anything unless it's a fucking gilded dollar bills delivered on their cock, and even then they complain that their knobs are too small. So, there you go. So yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not saying the game is bad, it's just I literally cannot see or comprehend what it is that got everyone else so excited, and has other reviewers excited. I mean, obviously no other reviewers back me up on this, which is a source of confusion always for me. Because funnily enough, contrary to what people think, I don't go around reading other people's reviews first. They don't give me elite access to their reviews so that I can see what they've scored so I score several points lower. I don't know what they're going to say until they post their reviews. Of course, I had an inkling just based on hype that everyone would be up this one's arse, but I don't see what it is. I cannot understand what is so deep and poignant and, in the words of one reviewer, chilling about this game. I don't.
I was getting sort of a Braid vibe from it. Not so much just in a little bit in aesthetics, just like the kind of appearance where it's like kind of an ugly cute, but it's passing itself off as like artsy. And then there was also, Tara, you did a report on the Detoid show when you were like describing the plot and saying there was like just the word choices they use. You're like, you play as the kid. And there's what, Jim, you did the review. What's
Calamity?
it called? The Calamity. And I'm like, did you guys fucking like get like a really basic story and then just get a thesaurus to describe things? I'm just the Calamity.
I think that points to the game's problem again of how it has used very shallow methods to make itself look deep. Like, they use big words and they have this artsy presentation and this narrator, and they do the bare minimum to look different without actually being different. Because when you boil down to it, when you get to brass tacks, it is a very vaguely delivered story using big words set in a very basic hack and slash dungeon crawler that is no more evolved than, as I said, something you'd see advertised in a banner ad on a website using, pay-as-you-go installments for extra swords. So, yeah. And again, that's not me saying the game is bad. Like, if you like hack and slash dungeon crawlers, play it. But don't expect a revelation.
Yeah, I've
expect a calamity and a bastion.
I've had trouble getting interested in it. It just seemed really humorless and generic. I know that's pretty rotten to say, but that's just how it looked. And other people told me, "Oh no, it's really great." And I'm like, eh. And I still haven't bothered with it, and I probably won't now. So thanks, Jim.
Give me my fucking Renegade Ops and my Retro City Rampage. I am 8.
Yeah, those would be fun games. I think Retro City Rampage has some sophistication to it, though. I honestly think that.
Well, obviously, Mr. Destructoid is a playable character in it. It's going to be wonderful.
I've been meaning to write. I just have been so busy, and the game isn't coming out anytime soon anyway, so I've been wanting to time it close to the game's release. But I've been meaning to write about how, particularly, the combat in Retro City Rampage, I really feel like it does a lot for that genre. I hope a lot of people pick up on that and use it, because it's a lot more deep than it looks on the surface. It's pretty good stuff. Beep up work.
All right.
Okay. Max
Yes.
Schofield. This
Hello.
week I'm drinking blueberry pomegranate Gatorade.
How are the ants?
Why are we talking about that?
How have you attracted any ants?
I get about 10, but no ants this week.
You know what? Okay, so they don't like the blueberry pomegranate.
No, I may have cracked the case.
Okay, so they like the berry melon, but not the blueberry
They
pomegranate.
like the...
I've never seen blueberry pomegranate Gatorade.
What? That's not real.
Yeah,
Is it really?
I'm drinking it.
it can't be.
Blueberry pomegranate?
Blueberry, like little dash, pomegranate.
Wow. Because, pomegranate is the stuff of the Whole Foods community. That's, I'll stop by and get myself some fine cheese and perhaps a back massage from a professional, and not the Asian back massage, because that's slummy. And I'll have some pomegranate as I sip my fine wine. And they put that in Gatorade?
Yeah.
Because Gatorade's, that's for the common man.
This is a class.
Yes.
I'm having some classy refreshment. What?
While you guys were talking about Gatorade, I was just thinking about how cool it would be if they did a Skyrim flavored Mountain Dew that was like dragon fruit and wolfberry. I don't think wolfberry is an actual berry, but I saw it somewhere and I was like, damn, you could totally make up any kind of berry. You could do like murder berry, axe fruit.
Absolutely, good.
I really want to. Okay, one thing I wanted to talk about this week was the Jim Beam commercial that has Willem Dafoe in it playing every character.
Oh, that's great.
Did you watch that, Holmes?
Oh, of course, I watched it several times.
Right.
I even replied to you in email.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Good. I was just. I don't fucking know, but yeah. Someone showed us this, and it freaked me out because it scared me because it's a commercial for Jim Beam whiskey where Willem Dafoe is sitting in a bus station, and then it shows all the people he could have become besides Willem Dafoe, such as a sumo wrestler or the guy who auditions ballerinas.
Or a chess master.
Right. And it just makes me furious because this whole time we could have been making up whiskey commercials and getting free whiskey probably, and I would have liked that. And then on top of that, I saw some ad somewhere for Bacardi Arctic Grape, and I'm like, that makes absolutely no fucking sense.
It sounds delicious, though.
Arctic Grape does not sound delicious. It sounds creepy.
Are you kidding me? Grape is one of the best flavors.
Right, Arctic Grape. That sounds like
that just makes it better.
That sounds like a euphemism for penguin shit. Going to pick some Arctic grapes, if you know what I mean. I'm picturing blue balls.
Haven't you ever had frozen grapes before? They're my favorite dessert. Except for, actual
Bacardi
dessert.
Arctic Grape. Willem Dafoe in a bourbon commercial. I'm led to believe that marketing is just like a Mad Libs application now, and it makes me angry because I could. Why can't I invent Skyrim Wolfberry Dragon Fruit Slurpees?
Well, I'll tell you what. Film a video of yourself imagining yourself inventing berry drinks while drinking Jim Beam, and you too could be the next star.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how you become Willem Dafoe.
The thing about that commercial, I think I said this in the email to you, Max, is that it's so well shot and poetic, and Willem Dafoe is actually a really good actor and good at emoting and expressing himself while he's reading these well-written lines. And then at the end, it's like, and it's all about the choices that you make. Choose Jim Beam. Wait, so I'm supposed to choose, one of the hardest alcohols, and destroy my liver, probably become alcoholic, end up in the psychiatric hospital with.
Well, it'll prove that you mean it.
Holmes is not a whiskey man. I'd like to point out that at the Destructoid party, which was at a whiskey bar that had like 500 different kinds of whiskey, I saw him and I'm like, "What are you drinking?" And he's like, "Cranberry and soda."
Yeah. So. Alcohol's not that different than heroin to me. I meet a lot of bad alcoholics that have got their. This one guy, he's like, "Check this out." I'm like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Look at my finger," and it's his middle finger. And I'm like, "Haha, very funny." He's like, "No, look closer." And there's a huge scar going down it, and I follow the scar all the way down to his elbow. And I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "Oh, my stepdad cut off my finger with a chainsaw when I was 12." Anyway.
Wow.
What do you guys?
Wow. Well, I'm never drinking.
That's not where I expected it to go.
Yeah, that happened. And the saddest.
So if I drink enough, I will finally get the stones to do that to my kid.
And perhaps the saddest part of the story is that they went to the hospital, and the stepdad said, "Don't tell anybody that I cut your finger and most of your arm off with a chainsaw. And if you don't tell anybody, I'll send you to Six Flags." So he didn't tell anybody, and then he didn't send him to Six Flags.
Holmes.
Yep.
God damn it, Holmes.
What the fuck, man?
It's a true story. Yeah, this guy.
I know it's a true story. We're talking about video games. That's horribly depressing.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Okay,
yeah.
How about this? Willem Dafoe
He was
sitting in a bus station. Sitting in a bus station, and he's drunk on Jim Beam, and he's like, "Here's a movie pitch." Sitting in a bus station, and he's like, "I'm drunk on Jim Beam. I could take a bus to Milwaukee, or I could take a bus to New York City." And he takes the bus to New York City, and he becomes a ballet dancer auditioner. And then there's a flashback where it's like a movie where, fuck it, just watch the video. He becomes a sumo wrestler. Spoiler alert.
That part's good when he becomes.
Fucking love that. The sumo wrestler Willem Dafoe. Like, what kind? Like, what?
That part was especially creepy.
How many crazy life choices would Willem Dafoe have had to make from birth to become a sumo wrestler professionally instead of Willem Dafoe?
The thing is, his face is intimidating enough. I imagine it would scare a lot of his opponents.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they'd be really angry about him in general. Yeah, it's very bad for non-Japanese to become famous sumo wrestlers. They get all mad about it. Yeah.
He'd be a villain. So John Carmack...
I love those moments.
God.
We take it as far as we can, and then...
It gets to a point where you paint yourself into a corner of bullshit, and then you don't know how to get back out.
Yeah, I love that. I love it.
Okay, let's start with an actual topic then, if that's not too game-related for everyone.
I'd love it.
Okay. Earlier today, Jonathan and I got into a bit of a discussion about something that John Carmack said. John Carmack is there's a little fly. Come away. Sorry.
So it attracts flies, but not ants.
Apparently so. Those little tiny ones that get really annoying. What the fuck was this? Oh, John Carmack from id Software was talking about snooty indie game developers looking down on Call of Duty because it's popular. And basically said it's not our job to be... Because the big criticism is, Call of Duty isn't innovative enough, they don't do new things. And Carmack was like, shut up, that's not our job. Our job is to make a successful game that people want to play and enjoy, and then they will give us money for it. I tend to agree with him. I agree with that, and I think it's a very snooty thing to look down on Call of Duty. I've defended the series in the past. Jonathan Holmes had problems with what was said. And we got into a little discussion, and I was like, well, let's save this for Podtoid. So...
Yeah, it was one of those times when I was pretty sure that we actually agree. I think we agree on most things, Jim, which makes things actually kind of too easy in discussion, but it was his particular wording that annoyed me. And I had read it first thing in the morning, and I was kind of annoyed about Mega Man Legends anyway, so I was kind of annoyed in general. And he particularly said, it's not our job to be original or give people things they've never seen before. And to me, to give someone something they've never seen before is something you've got to at least do some of the time. That's part of the job of entertaining people and giving them what they want, because that's more or less what I want on at least 90% of the time out of gaming. I'll stick with some old franchises partially because they're good and partially out of attachment to them, but by and large, I'm looking for new experiences in a new video game that I'm buying, and I'm not particularly interested in Modern Warfare 3, because it does look too much like all the other Call of Duty games that have come out thus far to me. So yeah, I think that indie developers have a point in saying that Call of Duty could do a little bit more with the huge level of clout they have and the power they have in general to experiment and be more interesting if they had the guts to do that. But in the end, it's all about just churning out a profit and not doing anything all that interesting. So yeah, that's my thought, Jim. What do you think? And Tara and Max, what do you guys think?
I think that I get what he's saying. Like, I think that it is very snooty to criticize something for being successful, and I think that is very, very much that's just being a hater. But at the same time, like, a whole fucking lot of people ate McDonald's, and that does not mean it's good. I mean, Jersey Shore is in its what season? Like, the fact that people come back to something does not mean it's a good thing. Right. Call of Duty is what it is. The problem is people are afraid of trying new things, and like I do this too. Guess what movie I watched this weekend? Bad Boys 2. I've seen that a million fucking times. I could have watched a movie I've never seen, but I watched something I already have seen. And it's like I have to force myself to read new books, try new things, try new games. That's why I played all that fucking new stuff, like Catherine and fucking Phantom Hourglass shit. It's like,
that was really experimental for you. That's great.
Yeah. I think that Carmack has a point. It's like you can't criticize like a game for being successful, and they have a successful formula. But this is why video games aren't considered an art by some people, because they are a product first.
I don't think people are criticizing it because it's successful. I think they're criticizing it because they truly believe that it lacks innovation, and it just, in their eyes, it's unworthy of being as successful as it is. And like, I'm not a fan of the franchise at all myself, but I understand that my opinion is a personal preference, and obviously there's a huge market for people who want to play Call of Duty. And I mostly agree with what Carmack said, but the whole part about like it's not our job to create innovation, that kind of irked me a little bit.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. When Carmack says it's not our job to be innovative, he's not saying don't be innovative. What he's saying is when you strip down what the job of a developer is, the job of a developer is primarily to entertain by whatever means. To make a game that is a successful game that people want to play and like playing and will pay to play. And I do not see a single thing wrong with that statement. He's not saying a developer shouldn't innovate. He's not saying a developer can't innovate. He's saying a developer's jobs, like when you boil everything down, isn't to be an innovator. It's to be a maker of something that is good. And that can include innovation, and that is great if you can do that and make a successful quality product, but it's not necessary. And I completely do not think innovation is necessary. I even wrote once an article, the headline was art isn't meaningful and innovation isn't good. And that was, again, a somewhat engineered, boiled-down statement, because what I was saying was not that innovation is bad, but that innovation on its own, as a concept, is not good until something is done with it. Until someone makes a good thing with it. That's the point I think Carmack was trying to make as well. It was like he was being very hardline with his statement to give the point more gravitas.
Yeah, but I think that someone needs to shove his ass into a time machine and take him back to like 1990 when he's trying to, make like Wolfenstein and Doom, and just be like, motherfucker, you're innovating right now. Like,
well, again, he's not saying I have never innovated. He's not saying we don't innovate. We shouldn't innovate. He was saying that's not in my job description.
I think
a rocket scientist.
Specifically,
he may have innovated. He did. id Software did innovate. They fucking made first-person shooters what they are. But that doesn't invalidate his point that a game developer these days, their job isn't to innovate. Their job is, as I said before, make games, whether that includes innovation or not. Innovation is great, but it's not necessary, especially these days. I look at some of my top games. I look at Darksiders. I look at, I like Call of Duty. I look at several cover-based shooters, all of which are fucking great quality because they took something that someone else had already innovated on and refined it and built upon it. And I think that's just as valid as something that's brand new and innovative. You know, whether you're innovative or you're a follower of someone else's idea doesn't matter. That's the point, and that's the point I think Carmack was trying to make. It doesn't matter so long as the product you have is good and people want to play it. Because you can have great innovative games. Portal, Holmes brought up Bioshock, which, is quasi, I guess. Or you can have innovative games that suck. Mirror's Edge is very innovative, but it only worked 50% of the time. You can have these games that try new things and fail, or you can have these games that try new things and succeed, just like a game can follow others, like Scourge Project, and fail, or follow others and succeed.
Well, I think a lot of it boils down to the argument between, like, the people who are sick of seeing constant sequels, the same franchises over and over again. Because personally, I'd like to see more new IPs, but, I mean, Call of Duty is, it's been around for years and years and years, and I guess part of the reason people are annoyed by it is because, like, especially Modern Warfare 3 looks almost exactly like Modern Warfare 2.
People are afraid to try new things.
Well, it's tough because I think the audience generally thinks they know what they like, but a lot of the times they're actually wrong. They think, I know that this series is going to be good, so I'll just stick with that. And that new thing, I don't know if I like that, so I won't even bother trying it. And they end up missing out on the new thing because, well, the way video games are structured now, there's a big difference between a game that looks like it's going to be fun and is fun a lot of the time. There's a big difference between getting someone to buy your game and enjoy your game. And like with Duke Nukem Forever, they had no problem getting people buying that game, but then everyone who bought it, or a lot of people that bought it, thought it actually sucked, while Shadows of the Damned, for instance, the people who bought it, most of the ones I've talked to either liked it or loved it, but it just didn't look like the kind of game people wanted to buy.
Well, the thing is that that doesn't speak of innovation. That speaks of marketing. That speaks of publishers that don't put enough faith in things to give them a marketing budget. I've always said that the reason Halo became a world-beating series is because Microsoft told everyone it was a world-beating series. And I mean that, and that's not a dig against Halo. It's more a compliment to Microsoft's marketing, like very successful marketing. I am of the belief that if you put Halo's marketing budget into Killer 7, it might not sell quite as well just because of the way Suda51 fucking makes things, but it wouldn't have been a failure. If you give that much faith to any game, I do not think there is any limit to what marketing people can do, because they're devils. Quite easily, they are devils. They've entered pacts. They've had sex with wizards, and it gives them powers that normal people like us don't understand. The trouble is they are but a very few. They are a small number of suited executives, and they make all the decisions. So they can decide what's successful and what's not. And they decided, Call of Duty, this is the thing. We're all going to do that. And that's the problem, I think, more than what the audience wants or doesn't want, or what developers are making and what they don't.
Well, that's it. I definitely agree on that, but there are, of course, games like Demon Souls. I don't remember, speaking of Bioshock again, I don't remember a lot of marketing for that, and yet they all took off because they captured. Yeah.
The thing about Demon Souls is, again, it was the people publishing it were very clever. They made the game in very limited supply, so they sold out. And because they only made a few, their costs weren't so much. So the game, even though it didn't sell like Call of Duty levels, I don't even think it like got into the top 10 or whatever. But it sold really well based on how much the supply was. Ergo, it was a success. There's always this belief that a game isn't a success unless it sells 1 million, which is bullshit. A game is a success if you turn a profit. And right. Demon Souls turned a profit because they manufactured it very fucking smartly, and they distributed it very fucking smartly. And that's again, is another topic of discussion that we could spend ages talking about.
Well, yeah, but I do think it has to do with the game being what people want.
Well, the game
too.
Yeah, I mean,
and it was pretty interesting too. Whereas Killer 7 never sold as much as Demon Souls or BioShock, even though none of them were marketed because people just didn't want Killer 7. Unfortunately, I don't think.
All I'll say is this: like, Carnival Games isn't a good game, but it is a huge fucking seller because people were told that's what they wanted. And again, this is not like a set in stone rule. You can have anomalies. You can have very pleasant surprises in which a game just suddenly comes out of the blue and everyone gets it and buys it, and it doesn't happen often. Or you can get a brand new IP like BioShock was that just has that perfect storm of good marketing, buzz from gamers, and a just good quality gameplay. And it becomes a big success. I mean, the first BioShock wasn't a Halo or anything, but it was a success.
No. Yeah, it sold over 1 million copies.
Yeah,
I mean, the PS3 version did good too.
Yeah, it did well.
Going back to what Carmack said about innovation and what a developer's job is, I think it's very important to consider what the developer's trying to do. Are they trying to create a work of art or a product? And in that subcategory, are they trying to create a world, or are they trying to create a toy, or are they trying to create a story? Mm-hmm. And are they trying to make this thing to be for, guys who read 3 different video game blogs and subscribe to people like us on Twitter, or people who, read Maxim and on the back page where it has a thing about games, they see Modern Warfare? Like, who are they? Who is this for? Because the medium is such a versatile kind of nebulous thing. We've going back to the whole thing about people who don't consider themselves gamers.
Scared me.
What?
I couldn't hear you for a second. Somebody jambled me.
What happened? I was making a point.
I bet everyone else heard you but me.
Did you guys hear me?
Yeah, I heard you.
Okay.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think that what was innovation probably isn't the job for people who make Call of Duty. They're not trying to do that. They're trying to make Call of Duty. The guys who make Bastion, they're probably trying to do something different. It's
yeah, absolutely.
I think that Carmack
solidified.
Yeah. He didn't really phrase things well, because people get mad about stuff on the internet a lot.
In the email, Maurice Tan kept saying, "Oh, you just don't understand Carmack. He has trouble talking to people. He means good things. He's smart. Don't be mad at him." To me, because I was just like, this guy. I took the quote as him saying, "It's never my job to innovate. It's only my job to give people stuff they already like."
Well, the thing is, he's not wrong. I mean, when you come down to brass tacks, he ain't wrong. As a developer, his job is to be a successful game maker.
Right.
Whether that includes innovation or not is down to the market at the time and what publishers want. And he didn't say innovation was bad. He didn't say you can't do it. He just said that's not his written, stated, explicit job description.
Yeah, I do think we interpret it different. If I interpreted it as you did, I'd have no problem with it. But for me, it was his statement, I never need to innovate, ever. That's how I took it. And
if that's not really what he said, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, on the topic of innovation...
Yeah.
On the topic of innovation, there were people who were complaining about Portal 2 because it had, the same graphics as the first one. Like it was...
Really?
It wasn't... I mean, there were people who were like, yeah, it uses the old engine. It's like, so what? It's a fun game, you know. And there are people out there who like don't want to play, I don't know, Super Meat Boy because it's not. I mean, there are graphics whores, and Carmack makes you know, id games. Like he makes graphics are very much a priority. If you look at, I haven't actually played Rage yet. The vibe I got, some people really were into it, and other people were like, you know, Tara, for instance, you were saying how it just felt kind of played out because we have Borderlands and we have Fallout and we have other shooters, and it's just, you know, what's the gimmick here?
Yeah.
Is there anything interesting about Rage, Tara?
Not that I could find.
It's got some graphics.
I mean, I only played it for about 10 or 15 minutes, but totally boring.
It's max delivery time again.
I know, I swear to God. Like this episode of Podtoid is interrupted by...
It sounds like you're invoking spirits because we just hear. I'll swallow your soul.
And to add to that, I'd like to tell everyone that I'm on a MacBook where the screen doesn't work, so it's all white, and I can't find the mic mute button. So I've been.
Oh, it's one of those MacBooks.
It's very high tech.
The old screen don't work model.
You know, it's a Mac. It's got one button. And then the screen only has one color, white. So,
well, that's a miracle you can do this podcast. I'm impressed.
I don't know how I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're great. I think you're next Scoville. You and your MacBook. It's true. Yeah, I don't. You know, John Carmack. All he was saying to me is, "I don't make games you want to play," and I was like, "You're right."
Oh snap!
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, sugar snap peas.
Delivered some stuff to that guy just now.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Did I accidentally say that it's okay to do heroin earlier in the show? Because I didn't mean that.
I think we actually advocated
opening. No, you just said it's not the
Opium
worst thing.
No, it's not. Heroin is definitely not the worst thing that I've had a patient do on a regular basis. Yeah. Okay, good, thanks.
I think you said that heroin was like not a big deal, but the drinking was bad because it makes you cut off your stepson's arm.
Well, yeah, I've never known heroin addicts don't get all that violent when they're on heroin anyway. But no, heroin's real bad. It's real bad. But I think when people make a big stigma about it, then they don't want to talk about it. It gets awkward. You gotta make it casual. Like, so, you doing that heroin? Oh, just for a second. Now I'm done. Well, why don't we talk about video games? Don't do heroin. Don't do the heroin. Yeah, it's really expensive.
I want 100 glass Winnie the Poohs in my opium den, Harry Potter.
I love those actors. That totally made it. Those Harry Potter.
This is the bit of Podtoid where we talk about everything we've already talked about.
Yeah, I know. Well, I like us enough. I like us, so I want to talk about us again.
Yeah,
I feel so bad for listeners sometimes.
I like how we're so arrogant as to assume that people like this show enough that they will stand for our shit.
I'm just not savvy enough to control myself, unfortunately. I just talk about stuff. What other topics do we have on the docket, Jim?
Harry Potter, do you like my baseball cap? It's better than yours, Potter.
He's so good in that, man. Him and the Emperor from the prequels. I know people don't like the prequels.
There is no hope now for your pitiful little band.
The Emperor makes those movies
strike
solid.
me down and you shall become more powerful. That's Obi-Wan's quote. I fucked that up.
They're practically the same.
Oh, you want this, don't you? I can't. I'm doing Voldemort. This sucks. What if Voldemort?
They're all the same guy. It's great.
Voldemort and Emperor Palpatine open an opium den.
That's
amazing.
Fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that would be the movie. They could just call it The Den.
I wish to read the collected works of Shelley again. Oh, while enjoying my opium, Harry Potter. I'm going to do some magic tricks.
Chinese boy to go to.
Wormtail, bring us the little Chinese boy again.
God.
I want him to serve us some delicacies while we enjoy more opium.
Yeah, not a movie, a television series. That doesn't need the budget of a movie. You just need
bring me my pipe. I I'm just like doing weird voices now. I can't. I have headphones and I can't. And there's a British man talking to me, so I can't really do a good Ian McDiarmid impression right now.
Oh, I thought it was pretty good. I like it more when he's like, oh, you know, all that stuff. That's the Emperor stuff I like. He does a lot of groaning and just like staring at you.
No.
Yeah, that one's
You who will die.
that one's really good. He's got a lot of good stuff in Revenge.
Oh, yeah. No, my favourite line is when he goes, I'm afraid the deflector shield will be fully operational when your friends survive.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Strike me down with all your hatred.
Yeah, that one, he's just amazing. How come he's never in stuff? That guy needs to be in stuff. He was in...
Because anytime you'd see him, you'd be like, oh, don't trust him. That's Darth Sidious.
Have you guys seen the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow movie?
Yep.
Yeah, just good for the British character actors. They're all awesome in that.
I love
Johnny
them.
Depp. Yeah, it's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah,
Emperor's
where Tim Burton was like, he started to be like, well, I have a budget now, so I don't need to have good stuff.
He hired great actors, though. He's got Dooku's in there, the Emperor, Jeffrey Jones, I think, is in that.
Doesn't Tim Burton just come up with movies so that Johnny Depp can wear hats?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the idea of it now?
You know, the first stage is like, who can Johnny Depp play? And then he goes, and how will this look on a sweatshirt at Hot Topic?
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
I remember like hearing that he was doing Wizard of Oz, and then being like, "Wait, he just did that." And I was like, "Oh wait, that's Alice in Wonderland."
Yeah, same thing.
Care. His fucking high point was Mars Attacks. Mars Attacks is the shit.
Hang on, I know nothing about this Wizard of Oz film. Is Johnny Depp going to be the Scarecrow?
I don't know.
I don't think he's actually doing it anymore, is he? I thought he was doing Sleeping
There are currently, because Hollywood is such a vacuum of creativity these days, there are currently like 5 Wizard of Oz projects being kicked around, and I think 3 or 4 like Sleeping Beauty and or Cinderella ones. Like, yeah. Todd McFarlane has been working on a Wizard of Oz for a long ass time, and I think that might actually be going into he put out action figures.
Yeah, those were good, but the movie, that's pretty different than an action figure. I mean, at least hopefully it is.
No.
No. So video games.
Yeah.
Video games. Should we talk about them?
Draco, get me and the Emperor another Appletini.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, he's got to call everyone.
Harry Potter, have you seen my opium den?
Friend request denied.
Oh, Emperor!
Want to be friends with me on Facebook? I'm doing the fucking Voldemort. This is
Emperor,
terrible.
you are quite outdated. I'll send you a Google Plus invite. Harry Potter.
Oh Jesus, Google Plus.
I won't touch it. It's the devil. It's another devil. It's another internet devil that's trying to suck me in.
It's better than Facebook.
I don't use Facebook either.
Oh, let's not get into Google Plus versus Facebook. And any other podcast would do that. Not us. Let's go back to what matters. Voldemort and Palpatine in an opium den.
There's been at least 3 times I've said video games. It's been your response to that.
Podtoid is the place where video games come to die.
Speaking of die, Mega Man Legends 3 died, and then Jim wrote a post about how Destructoid is not anti-3DS. Those are things that happened recently.
Yeah, let's talk about the 3DS.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, we've been getting...
We hate it.
Yeah, oh god. The 3DS stands for 3 dicks shitting.
Yep. Yeah, it does.
That's so awful. Yeah, people, at least in the posts I've been writing about the 3DS, I'd say for the past week and a half, 2 weeks, there's been 1 or 2 consistent commenters that like seek them out and make sure to contradict everything I said and say, oh no, the 3DS is doing great. And then other people will be like, well, Nintendo themselves said it's not selling as well as they'd hoped and they're worried about it. Well, they didn't mean that. What they meant is it's selling incredibly well, and if you paid attention, if you knew your stuff, like I do, you'd know that the DS struggled for the first year, but then it went on to be a huge thing. And same thing is definitely going to happen with the 3DS.
Because, of course, the market
blah, blah,
is totally the same now as it was back when the DS didn't really have any competition. Fucking idiots. But yeah, the point is that...
Well...
There's been a lot of bad news recently with the 3DS. Between eye strain fears, which Iwata himself said is still stopping people buying stuff, and the poor launch, which again Nintendo said, we launched badly. It's had a lot of bad press, and as a poster of news, as a poster, a disseminator, and sort of a pundit of news, we have posted about it a lot. And myself, being someone who is a huge fan of handheld and portable gaming, I have a 3DS, I care about it very much, and when I see Nintendo mishandling it, and just as I saw when Sony mishandled the PSP, I fucking hate it. Because I love this technology, I love handheld games, and I fucking despise it when a company mistreats it. And so I've been slagging off everything to do with the 3DS lately, because everything to do with the 3DS has just pissed me off. Urban Champion 3D. That's not a thing we need. Don't do that.
It's really funny, though, that they're just like, hey, you know what I want to do? Urban Champion. Oh, yeah, that game was really... The only two people on the planet, I think I said it last week, that think that's a good idea are Miyamoto and Iwata. So they're doing it. It's great. Yeah. It's funny. It's so bad, it's funny.
People are like, oh, you can't criticize it yet. It's like, well, when are we allowed? Like... When a system launches, you'd think that it would launch with some great games to entice people, especially on the eShop. I mean, I think the eShop is the biggest waste of potential we've ever seen. And the fact that they release things like tennis and whatever shit they're releasing this week.
I think it was baseball last week.
Fucking baseball.
It's really funny.
Don't do that. Like, people are like, oh, well, they're going to save their big ones. Like, all the big games. Like, for fucking when? For a rainy day?
Exactly. Why would they want to save them? Don't they need them now?
People... Yeah, and it's like, with the Game Boy Color, the Game Gear, and the potential later on to add GBA games, it's like, Nintendo ain't fucking hurting for titles. You can give us some good stuff now. Like, give us some games now. Don't give us fucking tennis, you dick.
And baseball.
What are you saving up? Like, oh, one day we're gonna run out of these games. Like, no, like, either you're gonna post them now and run out of them later and give us tennis, or you're gonna just post tennis now, and like, it's either way you're just shifting the problem. You're not changing the problem.
They need to put that stuff out now, and then after everyone already has a 3DS, they don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
They need to sell the thing right now, but they're like, I know how we can sell it. Urban Champion 3D, and they really mean it. They really think it's gonna work. It's really funny.
Hey, I got a question. How's the taking the old PlayStation games and putting them on the PlayStation Store? Is that a cool thing? Do they have good ones on there? Is there good stuff on there?
There's not as. That's another thing.
Is that kind of so-so?
It's so-so. There's, I would say, over the PS3 5 years old now, almost. There's still a lot of games that they failed.
There's still a lot, but they still did put up like at a consistent pace a lot of interesting games.
Oh yeah, there's. Games.
They started with like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, sort of that stuff. Like, okay, not things that will make us as more grown-up gamers Jaws drop, but they were legitimate classics for the time.
They got like Resident Evil and Final Fantasy VII though, right? Like those are around?
Resident Evil, not all of them.
Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 are up. Silent Hill is up. Metal Gear Solid is now up.
Okay, I'm sold. Like there we go. I want to get a PS Vita now. Like, I don't really...
Well, Are they going to be on Vita? Those are on 3. I don't know.
Do we know yet? Like, can't you kind of like... Can I do transferring? Like, is that
I see absolutely no reason why it wouldn't work.
Okay.
There is no reason to think at the moment that they wouldn't let the PS1 games on there. They'd be stupid not to. Although it is Sony, so...
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them to make us buy them again.
I just think it's appalling, like, how I mean, I've worked with computer people, and taking a game that exists in a finished state and like porting it. Porting something from from one language to another is kind of tricky. But if it's already something that it's for the PlayStation and making it a portable version, that cannot be that much work. That's not like making a new game.
Yeah, it's not so much about work. It's about whether they want to have that be their image. I know Sony's, from what I've heard anyway, Sony has a lot of internal struggles about, well, do we want to have our image be PlayStation 1 or we want to have it be Uncharted and, HD and all that stuff.
Sony
so they're
doesn't
like
know what it wants its image to be.
Yeah,
I'm so sick of these fucking companies that don't know what I want as a customer. I want these things.
Yeah.
I want to play games that are 11 years old, and I want to enjoy them like I was, however old I was then.
I actually think the Virtual Console, the Wii Virtual Console, at this point has just about everything you could want on there. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's got Super Metroid. Square Enix has supported it with all of their old Super Nintendo RPGs. All the N64 games are on there.
It's the Secret of Evermore.
Yeah, I think that's
it does. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
That was by SquareSoft America.
Right. It's kind of a weird one, but I'm pretty sure that's on there, as is Final Fantasy IV and 6. Yeah.
Again, it took a long time for them to do that, mostly because Nintendo insists on, you get 2 games a week, and then it was like, you get 1 game a week, and you better be fucking happy. Yeah. And they're doing it again with the 3DS, which after 2 months of having nothing, and not even, a virtual store at all, one virtual console game a week is not good enough. You can't just give me, especially when it's tennis. It's like, you've waited all week, have tennis.
Jim,
we are Nintendo.
Kicks came out too. Kicks and baseball came out last week.
Fucking shit! Are these old NES games?
No, they're old Game Boy. They're black and white. It's really funny.
Wow! What the fuck are these games?
Listen, everybody, black and white gaming is back on your new 3-dimensional console. What are they thinking? They're nuts.
So there's
so many Game Boy Color games they could put on, but they're
pissed me off is I was so excited about the eShop, as idiot that I am. I was like, give me a fucking DS with an online store that's worth opening up, that's giving me old Game Boy games and shit I probably missed as a kid, and I will be happy. And then it's like, week 3, tennis, mate. Fucking tennis! Nintendo is back!
It reminds me of Netflix. It's like the reason I'm using Netflix instead of pirating movies is it's actually more convenient to do that. And I could play old Super Nintendo games on my DS, but I'd have to go on eBay and buy a fucking R4 cord from some weird Turkish website and fucking get that, and then I have to download ROMs and put them on the thing. Why can't I just buy them? I'd actually pay for the convenience of just buying them. That's
Yeah, but they're not putting them out yet.
Exactly!
I've heard modding a DS is actually pretty simple.
Right. Yeah, it's just you have to buy the thing. You have to buy the R4 stuff, and that's kind of illegal and weird. You know what else is really funny about the 3DS? You know what's funny? You can change your status message, but you can't actually send people messages yet on your friend list still. And there's no.
I mean, the best thing about the 3DS is all the shit you can't do.
Yeah, for no reason.
Which outweighs all the shit you can. That's the problem. But to go back to the eShop, to go back to the eShop, which is my biggest problem, it's don't drip feed us content when you don't yet have a store. The amount of games that it has, if we discount the ported DSi stuff, most of which was shit anyway, just put all the way forward stuff on it and have done, as far as DSiWare is concerned. As far as the virtual console stuff and the dedicated 3DS software, it's they don't have a store yet. 5 Game Boy games does not a store make. You launch with a fucking selection and then drip feed. They didn't do that.
A selection of 20 would be good? That's my guess.
Something to browse. When I go on a virtual storefront, I want to fucking browse. If I go on Steam, if I go on Xbox Live, it's I want games. I want to be overwhelmed with content to begin with, and then drip feed us, some good stuff later, or the less important stuff. Give me, even if it had just launched with 10, just something where I can look through and spend time in your store. Whereas now, I go on the virtual, I go into the eShop every Thursday to be disappointed, and then I leave. It's like you just one Game Boy game a week, or one 3DS classic every month, or whatever it is. It's like it's not enough, and this is as I said in my article I posted today. This is coming from a place of love. This is coming from someone who loves his 3DS, wants to turn it on, but has just had it sitting in its charge dock for the past week. Since last Thursday when I turned it on to be disappointed.
One thing that I've noticed, and we get a lot of this even like on our show, is that the second you criticize anything, people assume you're a fanboy for everything else.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Max and I have openly criticized Sony and stuff, and whenever we do, we inevitably get comments that are like, "I love how these guys just show their 360 fanboyism."
Yeah, well, they always use that fucking word bias because they don't know what the word means. But here's my thing, right? If you consider yourself a fan of Nintendo, Sony, or Xbox, whatever, if you consider yourself a fan and you don't like the criticism, fuck off, because you are not a fan. And I mean that. This is like with the 3DS stuff. I argued in the article today that I am more pro 3DS than anyone who has written off a complaint as anti-3DS. Because at least I give enough of a shit to want things to be better. At least I care enough to not take bare minimum and say that's good enough. I demand, when I can see that something can be far better, I demand that it be that good. I demand it be as good as I know it can be, because I'm a fan of this shit, and I want it to be fucking great, and I want excellence, and especially at $250 a pop, I should be fucking getting excellence. Yeah, and I say that as a fan.
It's not all that different from your review style either. I mean, you only give a game a low review and are venomous about it in the way you write about it if you really wanted it to be good and you were excited about it in the first place and want the developers to do better next time.
These people that sit back and swallow anything a publisher gives them, be it Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, anyone who's like, oh, well, the fact that we have all these million slow-loading updates on the PS3, that's just a small problem. Why are you having a go at that bias? Or the people that are like, Microsoft doesn't have to promote indie games. Fuck you, bias. Or, the 3DS is perfect. They can put tennis up every week if they want, bias. It's like, you are the problem with this games industry. You are the fucking problem. You are the guys making this industry a shitter place to be in. Not only because you're bringing your fucking damage into people's conversations, but because you are wanting mediocrity. You are standing up for mediocrity, defending it, and saying it's good enough. Fuck you. You are beyond wrong. You are what is wrong with the industry.
Well, here's what I'm wondering. It's like, why isn't it... What? God damn it!
When Jim has a thing, because he just had a thing and we heard it and it was great. But while we're listening, we're so excited because he's so inspiring that everyone wants to talk at the same time.
Yeah.
It's fun. I think Tara should go first.
Ladies first.
I was going to say, why is Nintendo not, or at least not appearing to listen to anybody on this kind of stuff? Like, because I have a friend who works at EA, and I know that there's a person who's job it is to read and watch, like, for instance, our show to see what people are saying about EA, right?
Oh, okay.
Every company has something like that. There is even a job position at EA for a person who reads the comments on those videos. Like, so they would be reading our YouTube comments, trying to see what people are saying about EA. So obviously Nintendo has somebody whose position it is, and there's been so much backlash against the 3DS, I really would have thought that they would have kind of done their fans at least some service with this Operation Rainfall stuff.
Oh yeah, they're actually handwriting them.
They've totally lost their opportunity, though. I mean, not yet, but they don't seem to be responding to it.
They're actually sending them handwritten letters back, which I thought was pretty
But they're just copies.
Yeah, I heard that.
They're not handwritten. They're just copied from the email.
They're hand signed.
They're hand signed. Oh, I could get a fucking monkey to sign it.
They probably paid an intern to sign that shit.
It's Sissy Barner who's signing them, guys.
That's Sissy Barner.
That's not even
I'm
name.
signing my letters to show I care.
It might be a made up name. Well, the thing is, I think that Nintendo of Japan president Iwata-san, I'm worried I'm going to say his first name wrong. He always seems to know what people are criticizing Nintendo about, and he always addresses it, especially when the stockholders are listening.
Here's the thing. Here's what he does. They read what's said, then they echo what's said with this smarmy air of fake humility, and then they do fuck all about it. Because most people, again, these people I were addressing earlier, who's contributing to the downfall of this industry with their bullshit, will take that as a sign. They go, oh, see, Nintendo cares. Iwata said the 3DS didn't do very well. How humble of him. How humble of him. What a down-to-earth man he is. Oh, would you like to fuck me in the arse, Satoru? Oh, please. Don't even bother tearing my pants down. I'll pull them down for you. Would you like me to punch myself in the fucking face while you rape me?
Is it Satoru then? That's how you pronounce it? Satoru?
I don't know.
I think you did a great job.
Well, I'd like to address that. Being a fanboy of a company that makes a machine that's used for playing games, that kind of sucks. Like if it doesn't really matter which one you have because it's.
To me, it makes as much sense.
I'm sorry. I feel like there will be any competition if you've got two main companies going against each other.
You know, companies have logos, they have slogans, they have brands, just like sports teams. And it makes as much sense to root for your toaster or your favorite stranger who happens to play baseball, who wears a shirt that looks like the shirts worn by the other guys that supposedly represent your region, even though they're all from different parts of the United States and some from South America. I mean, none of it makes any sense. Sports fans don't make any sense. Video game fanboys don't make any sense. People who root for Team Edward over Team Jacob. We're all idiots. It's about Jacob, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Voldemort. Team Jacob all the way, man.
Team Voldemort?
It's just like Facebook, Google+.
I'm on Team Jacob, Harry Potter.
When did we start rooting for brands, you know? Like
a long time ago when we were cavemen, they say. We rooted for, you know, the Ooga Boogas versus the Ugg Uggs, and they beat each other.
Right. But like the customer is always right. Like we're trying to get a product. It's like
that's done.
I mean, I do have a tattoo of Mountain Dew, so I probably shouldn't talk too much.
That's ironic, though, isn't it?
The state of Connecticut. I know. I really like Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew is really good. It does taste very good.
But I felt kind of guilty because I got a case of Squirt last week, which I still feel embarrassed. I got a bunch of squirts last week.
But about Iwata, though, to counter what Jim said, I really get the sense that Iwata listens and cares, but honestly, it's like trying to get him to understand what young people today playing video games, how they perceive things and what they want. He's just never going to get it. It's like trying to explain, you know, punk rock to an 80-year-old. They're like, you listen to these guitars for why? Okay, well, I'll try to, you know, and then you give the 80-year-old a guitar and try to get him to play punk rock, telling him what people like about it, and he doesn't have it in him. Like Iwata doesn't an online shop. He doesn't understand what the hell that means. He's like, what do you mean shop? Why would you do that? You just go to the store and buy stuff. I'm old. That's what I've always done. These are old men. They don't get it at all. They want Urban Champion on the 3DS, and they think we're going to love it. Why else would they put it out there if they didn't think we were going to love it, you know? They honestly think that's what we want. They're really honestly clueless. And I love them for it. I love them. I love everything they're doing right now. Keep it up. It's the most interesting thing going in video games right now. Their weirdness is great to me. I love it. And they've got games on it I want to play, so I can't really complain. I enjoy the games that they put out at retail, and this year it's going to be good.
Holmes?
Yeah?
How many hours a week do you play your 3DS?
Probably 10.
Right, my follow-up question.
Yep.
How
do I play it?
How do you manage that? How did you pull that off?
I play it I play it in the morning because I'm weird and I like Pokemon. So I'll download the new. You know they offer. Here's another thing they think people want. Forget about putting games on there. Give people free fake Pokemon for the Pokemon.
I still remember what Reggie said. That's our gift to you. Like, thank you, Reggie.
Yeah, don't worry about the video games. They're coming later this year. For now,
would you like to come off into my ear now or later, Reg?
Holmes, yeah? Do you remember that time that you were reviewing Pokemon Black and White, and we got together and we were going to battle over the internet?
That was fun.
I don't know how to do that. I forgot because it's too fucking complicated.
We never really did. We did it right eventually. It took like
We
an
sort
hour.
of did.
Suddenly
Yeah,
I saw like a still photograph of you, and you like drew a dick on my nose, and
Yeah,
you
that
know,
was
then
kind of
something
a
else
like
happened, and that's what they thought we wanted.
maybe we're like old, but like
No,
okay.
we're not.
Pokemon is a game for children, right? I mean, it's a game for like it's targeted to kids, you know, and kids are going to be like, Dad, I want to play, I want to battle my Cottony against fucking Tucker down the streets, Venomoth. I want to get them together and make them fight. Dad, will you set up my internet thing on the Pokemon? I have to go on the Global Link Network and I have to get a username and set that up. And it's like me
Then
as
go in the
someone
special
who's
room.
competent with fucking computers and the internet and gadgets and stuff. That was a headache for me.
Oh yeah.
And in the end, it
They have
wasn't
no
even
idea.
worth it. Like, I just
We had a good fight. It took like an hour to get it going. You have to go in the right room. Don't talk to the woman all the way to the right. Talk to the one second to the right. Take option B. Take Wi-Fi, but not Wi-Fi access. Yeah, it's insane. They have no idea. I mean, if Nintendo really cares, or if Nintendo really understood, I should say, they would hire some people to just run that stuff for them because they're too old. They don't understand. But they're just gonna see how bad they can fail this time and hopefully learn from their mistakes. That's what I think.
They just announced that they're putting out an Android and iPhone Pokemon game.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
right,
humble.
but it's like fucking some kind of stupid rhythm game where you click on Pokemon, it just has the Pokemon name on it, and upon this announcement, their stock jumped like 5%.
It'll make a lot of money. Yeah.
Right. Their stock jumped like 5%, and then everyone was like, "What? You're putting Pokemon on iPhones? That's so smart." They're like, "No. That's just we're don't get excited. It's no big deal."
Yeah, they'd always said they would never do
Everyone
that.
fucking sat up real straight because they thought that people were getting something really cool that everyone wanted.
Well, I think a lot of people want Nintendo to stop making consoles and start developing just for other people. And I think in general, I don't know if you guys are up for talking about this. I think Nintendo has a weird psychological effect on people. Like there are people like we've been talking about who will protect them and worship them no matter what. And then there's people on the other side who make it a point to hate them on principle. Like real venomous, and no matter what they do, they can make a game someone will love. Be like, yeah, that game was good, but I hate Nintendo. I hope they go out of business. Those bastards. It goes either way in a way that I don't think.
Well, Nintendo is the company we all grew up knowing. We all grew up with it. Whether we grew up as part of the Sega versus Nintendo war, or whether we grew up just with Nintendo loving it or whatever, it's become such a part of our childhood. And it's become so intrinsically linked to video games. Still going off the time when play Nintendo meant just play a video game console. It's hard not to have a really strong opinion about it if you love video games, because Nintendo still is, in many ways, video games.
Yeah, some say more so than ever. I mean, the Wii and the DS, biggest consoles of the past 5 or 6 years or so.
I previously
I want to see it succeed so much.
Say that again.
Previously,
sorry. Not you, Max. Tara.
Fucking shit! God damn
it! What'd you say, Tara?
I was saying I think that's the reason that people want to see it succeed so much, and that people are dishing out this Jim's negative opinions of some of their certain things because
they defend them like they would their own parents. And likewise, I think a lot of people want to rebel and destroy Nintendo like they would their parents, depending. Like John Carnage, wow, get him started on Nintendo. No matter how much he loves some of their games, he said they all should die. I hate his passionate hate for that company is really something to experience. Yeah. Anything that's old or he wants them all dead. He wants them all in their graves.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
And yet,
I was comparing.
Yes.
I was comparing Nintendo to M. Night Shyamalan and saying how the Wii was their sixth sense and it's all downhill from there. But I think a more appropriate analogy would be George Lucas and the fact that they have like a big effect on our childhoods, and now they're putting out stuff that's kind of making us we want to like it, but it's kind of hard to, and they're kind of out of touch. And some of us are still like, please take my money, but other ones of us are just like, oh fuck, and it's like this kind of weird. You feel kind of torn because it's like I like Mario, I like Zelda, I like that stuff, and I'm just angry when it's not like coming out the way it should.
Right. I think that's a perfect parallel because people grew up loving Star Wars, but Star Wars did not grow up with them. Star Wars stayed. Like, I know people love the original trilogy, but those movies are really corny in a lot of ways, just like the prequels were. The dialogue, I mean, nobody talks like that.
I don't rate the Star Wars
plot is
series.
really.
It didn't get good till the expanded universe, most of which George Lucas systematically annihilated in the prequels.
Well, yeah, the expanded universe was made for people who grew up with Star Wars, but now were, young adults or adults, and it was targeted towards them. Whereas George Lucas didn't grow up with didn't make Star Wars grow up with us. And Nintendo, they haven't grown up at all. I mean, I think the Wii, in many ways, is exactly where the NES was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, except with motion controls. And that's why people love it so much, because there's a lot of people that wish gaming never evolved from the NES up. And I could go on and on about it. But yeah, and similarly, George Lucas, some people actually want to kill him because they don't like the movies he makes anymore. And people feel the same way about Nintendo. It's more psychologically complex than it should be.
It's kind of weird. It's like having a falling out with your folks, like.
Yeah, but you don't know these people. They just make stuff sometimes. You don't have to like it if you don't want. They like it. That's one thing I like about the prequels is that he actually liked those movies. That's kind of neat. Sometimes they sucked though.
Well, it's weird if you go back and you watch the original movies and you just kind of pay attention. Like the fact is he had really good writers and really good directors working on those and good actors in them.
Yeah.
His part in that was like kind of minimal. Like it's very possible if he was saying that the prequels were what he was trying to do the whole time, then like he really fucked up when he made A New Hope, because that's pretty watchable. Going back to the video games and stuff. Well, sort of still on Star Wars. A friend of mine, he got some Star Wars tattoo, and I was like, I have one too, and we're kind of talking about this, and he goes, no matter what it turned into, it still sort of represents how much I loved it as a kid. And I mean, you can call that. I think that kind of transcends nostalgia. Like, I mean, playing Super Nintendo as a kid is like this is the fucking golden years. This is like the exemplifies everything that's cool about childhood. Like, Pokemon was the shit. Like, I'm not gonna. No matter what Nintendo does now, they can't fuck up what I had then, and it's stupid to try and they didn't build a time machine, go back and molest you as a child. Yet.
I was about to say that was poetic, and then and that was a form of poetry, what you just said. Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. Actually, you mentioned tattoos, because I always find it irritating, because I like tattoos, and people are always like, oh, you're not going to like that in 60 years. It's like, no, maybe not, but it still represents a point in your life when it was important to you,
Yeah.
You can kind of make the same argument for Nintendo.
I like Tattoo when they lesed off in that video.
I forgot about them. Yeah. What is that? Only in our head, something like that.
All the things she said, running through my head. Let's off now. Go,
I was
fucking let's off, you fucking bitches.
I can't believe we've been doing this for 2 hours now.
Roar. Yeah. What were you going to say, Max? Do we have other topics? I feel like I caused us to talk about this for too long. Did I mess us up again?
Something about Opium and John Carmack, I think.
Yeah, there was Opium. We covered that.
Oh, do we have questions? Those are always my favorite parts.
Yeah, we've got questions. I don't know how much time we've got for them now, but Jesus, we've gone on for so long. I mean, again, just congratulations if you got this far. Well done, you. Let's go through these. Wooey asks, what are your thoughts on the alarming rates that employees at certain developers are speaking out against awful working conditions? Be it Rockstar, Team Bondi, or more recently Gameloft. Does it affect your opinion on the games they produce, or do you not let it impact your enjoyment?
It doesn't impact my enjoyment. No, it's sad, but working conditions can be bad everywhere, and I never take it unless I get the boss's side of the story too. I never take it for granted that someone is telling the truth when they say conditions are bad where they work, because they just may be bitter jerks. I don't know these people, so I take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Personally, I do not see it as big a moral issue as, say, Kathy Lee Gifford's personally owned series of sweatshops that she definitely ran herself.
Right.
I don't think it's as bad as something like a sweatshop where I feel I must boycott something because, as asshole-ish a statement as it is a business, it is a job in a free country, and you can leave if you want. That is a shitty thing, but I don't think the people in charge are inherently disgusting, immoral creatures. I do think it's pathetic that you need that kind of enhanced crunch period. Some of the accusations made about Gameloft just made the company sound just fucking pitiful. Deliberately lying about deadlines and things to make people work that hard. Especially for Gameloft, who, let's face it, take other people's ideas and put them on the iPhone. Which, isn't always 100% terrible. I've defended Gameloft's practices before. But when that's all you're doing and you're having to enforce these fucking crunch periods, it's like you've got no real business being in business if you can't do things properly when other companies can. And that's my problem with it. Not so much this moral aspect as just this, get your shit together, what the hell are you doing wrong that you need to do this shit? It's like, there are better ways, and we've got companies like Insomniac, who are legendarily awesome to their staff, have an incredibly happy working staff, and they make good fucking games that generally come out on time. So, if they can do it, why can't you?
Yeah. I kind of mirror Holmes's opinion about, there's crunch periods in every business. Try working on Wall Street. It's the same deal, and it's your choice to work there. I have no idea if their salaries are commensurate with the work that they're putting in. That might be another story, but
one other thing is that if you're working on a video game, you're typically making something you enjoy. Nobody really gets into video games because they wanted to be a plumber. It's not something you accidentally wind up doing.
I would just have to cut you off short and say, it's probably a lot of fun if you're Hideo Kojima or Spectre.
That's a generalization, but you're not making you're not designing fucking business software. You're making something that is an entertaining thing for people. It is a creative outlet, even if you are just coding for hours on end, which that's got to kind of suck. But it's you're getting probably paid $80K a year. So,
we don't. I wonder how much the sort of low-level junior engineers, the ones who are often working the hardest, are actually being paid. There was talk about Gameloft making one junior coder work for 24 hours, just straight 24 hours. He'd been in that office, and I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're fucking wanking off Alan Rickman. After 24 hours, that's gonna get horrible. There's only so long you can listen to "Oh God" before it gets tiring.
10 points for Gryffindor.
But I think the whole crunch period thing is such an outdated model, and I think there are studios out there that have proven it doesn't need to be that way.
That's very true, especially with this isn't a general thing, but if you're making downloadable stuff, in this day and age, you can also patch stuff after the fact. That makes things a lot easier. It still isn't to ship a flawed game isn't good, but it is the kind of thing that can be, tweaked after the fact. When they were shipping cartridges, you could not do that.
Well, again, I mean, it's just, you don't need to... I mean, I'm very much against the patch culture as well. It's just, you don't... Again, look at Insomniac. Incredibly happy staff. I believe they've won awards for that shit. Their games come out. I've never heard of many major bugs in Ratchet and Clank and the other stuff they make. It can be done. It's just, some companies fucking don't. And it's like, like I said before, I'm not morally outraged because it's not really slavery, but I am outraged from just a business sense of just, you're doing shit so wrong, and it's just stupid to have an unhappy staff. It's fucking dumb to have a staff that resents working at your company, because people don't work well when they're unhappy. I thought that was obvious to everyone, apart from Cyril Sneer. But it's not. So many companies don't fucking get it.
That's absolutely. True. In video gaming and otherwise, yeah. Happy customers.
Kathy Lee Gifford.
Kathy Lee Gifford. Case closed.
Yeah. I find it interesting that both this and the Team Bondi thing happened in... Was Game Loft? Was that in New Zealand or Australia?
The accusations come from an office in New Zealand.
Okay. Well, I don't know. That doesn't sound like my kind of part of the world, because they got video game sweatshops, and then they ban the video games, and then they have the spiders the size of like a small dog. I just don't want to go there. But there's just then they have Mana Bar, so it sounds like a wonderful place that I'm very curious about.
You should explore it. You should make a documentary about exploring it.
But first, I have to do my. I have to. Yeah. What?
Do you have a dog?
I don't have a dog.
You should get a dog and explore New Zealand.
First, I wanted to do one about where I explore Japan, because I'm gigantic.
That would be awkward. You would feel funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Okay.
That'd be a great show.
Cutting this short, because we go on for far too long. Yes. Azarus says, oh god, if you could choose having no legs and an Imperial Star Destroyer, or no arms and 6 Pokemon of your choosing, what would you pick? You can't have neither, because then both your arms and legs get cut off and you get no spaceship or Pokemons.
Alright, so no arms with Pokemons.
Yeah.
I really need my arms, so even though I'd really prefer to have 6 Pokemon of my choosing, Milk Tank definitely being one of the 6, I'd have to take the Star Destroyer, just so to keep my arms.
I would choose
it. Oh, you would choose that. Can you fly a Star Destroyer with no legs, though?
Well, you'd need a whole Imperial crew to run it, and I would assume they're part and parcel.
But if the technology exists to make an Imperial Star Destroyer, then surely you can have biomechanical legs.
Let me. Excuse. I'm a leading expert on both of these topics. If you have your Pokeballs on a belt, how are you supposed to get them off if you don't have any fucking arms? And exactly. Oh, by the way, how many limbs get cut off in all the Star Wars movies?
Yeah, tons of limbs. You're right.
No fucking question. And a Star Destroyer is I think it's 4 kilometers long, a typical one. If it's a super class, then it's 8 kilometers, something like that. So basically, you could get so many people to come and be your friends and just have a big space city, hang out, and have mouse droids driving around.
Who would govern that city? A lot of bad things could happen in a space that large without proper governance.
Yep.
Max.
Yep. It would be like Asteroid M. Like in Magneto does in the X-Men, be fucking shit.
With the acolytes, is that what they're called?
Yeah, those guys were dorks.
Yeah, they were a lot of purple.
So, yeah, what a stupid question. Star Destroyer.
Okay, we still managed to spend really long on that, even though it was stupid. Gnarlythotep says, what games have you enjoyed strictly because of the narrative, regardless of gameplay? I've got a pretty easy answer for that. That would be... I've just forgotten the name. Farewell. What was it? Farewell Ruins of the Moon. That was the subtitle. What was the actual name?
Fragile Dreams.
Fragile Dreams. That's it. Yeah, I reviewed that one as well. The gameplay is borderline shit, but the story was so engrossing that I just found it really easy to get into. That quite easily.
Huh. It's a tough one for me. Because even when I think about games where on the surface I preferred the narrative to the gameplay, I think the gameplay was important to counterbalance to the narrative. Have you played Ghost Trick? We've talked about that. It's got a really involving set of characters. The story itself isn't that amazing, but the characters are really likable and interesting. But if that wasn't counterbalanced by the gameplay, which is just mousetrap, it wouldn't quite mean as much. So I'm gonna pass. I'm passing.
I would actually say LA Noire would be a good example of that. And
I can see that.
Just because I really didn't... I mean, LA Noire... It's difficult because I don't think the gameplay is really all that fun. It is...
Yeah.
They weren't going for fun. They were going for noir, right? Noir.
Noirative.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they were going for. Yeah, the noirs there. People say I say there too much. I can't help it. It's just how I feel. Sorry, guys.
Wow.
Okay.
I think probably Tetris. Probably Tetris.
That's the best narrative.
It's just these fucking blocks falling, and you don't know where they're coming from, and something about the Kremlin. But no, seriously, I'm with Tara on LA Noire. Also, I think Resident Evil. I'm really not a fan of scary games or survival horror, but like, I like the story there. It's kind of neat. And Doom 3. There was like a lot of cool stuff there, but I could not play that because I'm a gigantic pussy.
I'm actually playing through Doom 3 at the moment. That's something
Really?
I've been sort of playing off and on for the past few weeks. I love it. That game got a lot of criticism, I guess, because it wasn't Doom 2 again. But it's fucking scary even now, as dated as it might be. It's one of the scarier games I've played in a long time, and I don't scare that easily.
That's a John Carmack game, isn't it?
Yeah, totally not innovative at all, but good, which was my point.
Yeah, I liked that game okay. That's probably my favorite John Carmack game.
I'm like this. I really don't like being scared. I kind of realized it. Like, I just don't enjoy being terrified, so I don't really watch horror movies a whole lot. But I really like monsters, and I like a lot of the times the science fiction surrounding horror genre, like horror franchises. Mm-hmm. So, like, I really think Doom is awesome. And I played it as a kid because it wasn't really that scary then. But, like, you know, Doom 3 was, like I remember, like, watching my friend play it with, like, 4 other people in the room, and every time, like, you know, one of those terrifying fucking babies would fall out of a vent shaft and just come running at him. And he'd, like, you know, and just the fact you have to switch between flashlight and gun is such a fucked up, like, mechanic. It's like the run backwards and shoot and scream while all your friends, like, put their, like, hands on their head and, like, you know, scream like girls.
I thought that was actually kind of innovative to keep my point going. The flashlight gun stuff, that was kind of new, wasn't it?
That was, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember doing that before. So a little bit of innovation.
And that was a refinement.
A refinement.
I think there's a difference between evolution and revolution. Well,
True.
Actually, there is. I don't know why I said I think. By definition, there is. But I think within games, you know, there is some things very clearly count as evolution rather than revolution, and I think that's what it does a lot now. Is they're more refiners than innovators. But let's not open that up again. David says wanted to know how much any of us, if we do like Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000. You know, we've had Kill Team come out this week and Space Marines coming up. Are any of you guys interested in sort of the whole tabletop?
I had a bunch of Warhammer little metal guys I painted back in high school. Yeah, I thought that was a cool universe they came up with.
Yeah.
That goes back to the last question. I'm totally, like, I don't really like RTS, but I played a little bit of Dawn of War, and I was like, this is cool. You can, like, zoom in on them. They're fucking each other up. Cool.
It's 40k. Like, I've been into Warhammer a little bit over the years, but 40k is definitely what I gravitated to. I have tried to build several 40k armies over the years. I tried to build an Orc one. I tried to build a Tyrannid one, or a Tyrannid one, however you want to pronounce it, and a Chaos Thousand Suns army, all while I didn't have a job. So that didn't last, because I buy one unit, paint them all up real nice, and never afford another unit again. I am seriously considering, in fact, Neil Pabon, I really don't know how to say your name, sorry Neil, from THQ, fantastic fucking guy.
He's the fucking best.
He sent me a bunch of Chaos Space Marines, like the models, after I went and checked out a Dawn of War expansion. I'm going to paint them up at some point because I am very tempted to get back into it now that I'm actually solvent and have money.
Can you give them a Mr. Destructoid color scheme where they have red eyes and green armor?
That would actually be badass. I might use them for that. But if I do get back into it, I'll probably build either a word bearers, just because of the irony of them being religious extremists and me not, or Alpha Legion, just because they're pretty badass. But yeah, I love the 40k universe. I used to read all the fluff. I knew all the backstory at one point, like for every race. Don't really remember any of it now, but yeah, I want to get into that stuff again. So, cool. What else have we got? I probably should have been looking for questions while talking. A lot of people... Oh, Overdose said, Jim, you are awesome. He did ask a question, but that's as far as I'm reading. There's a lot of people... A couple of people pointed out that the Raccoons was Canadian. So...
Oh, that makes me feel so much better.
So that's probably why a lot of you didn't get it.
Yeah, I really don't think that was on in the United States. I'm pretty sure.
It aired in Britain a lot, so, you know, it must be a cultural thing.
I gotta see it.
A lot of people have asked questions that we've been asked before. Guys, questions like favourite games, favourite genres, that isn't really one worth us answering, because that comes up in conversation. Things about online passes, collector's editions, we've done all that as well before. I don't want to be rude and not ask them, but we've done it to death.
Yeah, recently too.
Yeah, I mean, your really big, long questions with questions for each individual, sort of one for each of us, we literally don't have time. Especially if I'm wasting time by now talking to you about questions rather than answering any. I've got to go to the next page. Everybody think about Voldemort's Opium Den again while I'm... Just think back on things we talked about on the show and just laugh. Just oh dear, how long can I keep talking until this page fucking loads? Come on, Nero, you made the site more streamlined. Why isn't it loading quicker? Okay, there we go. Western Game 1000... Oh, no, I'm not asking that one. Jesus Christ. Bill Zoica, or Zoica...
oh, hi, Bill.
Guy. Lovely chap. How often do you go back to check comments on your posts and videos? And how much of it is a sense of duty to respond, and how much is vain curiosity?
Huh. Interesting. I don't feel any duty, and in fact, I feel like I often
feel
make
my duty.
You want me to erotically touch your poops? Why would you want me to do that? Yeah, I don't feel any. I don't feel like it helps the reader at all to do that, and I don't think most of the people who read the news really care what I have to say in the comments. But I'm interested. The main reason I love writing for Destructoid is because I like interacting with other people who like video games. So for me, it's something I try to do whenever I can. But when I write a bunch of stories in a row and I want to focus on writing more, I will sometimes skip the comments in a post just because it's not technically productive. So out of work ethic, I'll sometimes skip the comments.
Max, Tara? How often do you... I know Max has talked about YouTube comments on the Destructoid show before.
Yeah, I read like all of those, or I try to. I've been out of touch with the YouTube stuff. But I try and keep up with what's going on in Destructoid. It always... Somebody on YouTube being like, fuck this guy, this fucking idiot doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. And I'm just like, you have a point, but you're on YouTube. I don't really care about that. But like when people on Destructoid are like, this motherfucker is ill-informed and gangly, I'm just like, that really hurts my feelings.
Aww.
But you know, I read it both kind of because I want to know where people stand, so I can understand what subjects to like approach from what angle. You know, like
sure.
If I continued to think that Duke Nukem Forever was a good game, I would be fired by now. I mean, I like it, but like, you know, I had to. You get a feel for what people are talking about, like, you know.
Sure.
And but yeah, there is a lot of just idle narcissism. So, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Curiosity, connecting with the people. You're connecting with the people.
Well, I think I do. Not so much these days. I'm just just literally too busy. I used to check them out a lot. I consider it important market research, I guess. Find out what people are talking about the most. Find out what they think about certain things. I always try and pay attention to feedback. Reviews I've given up on. There's no point reading the comments on reviews anymore. I'll read for about the first 10 or so, but once it reaches 30 and starts snowballing, I can't be fucked. I'll totally hold my hand up that a lot of it is ego. A lot of it is when it's a piece intended for comedy or entertainment, if it's something like the Jimquisition or if it's a satire piece, I will read the comments a lot because even though I have this reputation of not giving a fuck what people think, when I'm deliberately trying to entertain and make people laugh, I give a total shit. It's very important to me that readers are entertained, and I want to make sure they are. And part of that's ego, and part of it is just base insecurity.
I want to talk about Jim Sterling for a second.
What?
Is that okay? Just want to talk about him.
Why not? I do every week.
Because I was thinking about this in relation to John Carmack before, but it's really about my opinion of Jim Sterling. I am so glad, Jim, that you don't think like John Carmack, because you innovate. You break the boundaries. You do what you want to do. You're a true artist. You're not just in it for I mean, you're technically very skilled as well. Your grammar and punctuation are beautiful. But John Carmack, he couldn't do what you do because you are willing to take those risks, those creative risks, and I love it. I'm a big Jim Sterling fan, guys. It's true. Just saying it. Anyway, Tara Long?
Weird. Tara Long is getting internet connectivity issues. She dropped from Skype. She just sent an email. I don't know what to do about that. Skype's a piece of shit. But that's a good time as any to really cut off.
Sure.
I'm going to call this episode Voldemort's Opium Den because
that works.
The Opium Den was fun.
Should probably get some good SEO from that too, because a lot of people are probably, looking for Harry Potter themed opium dens to go to.
That is true. There's actually one set up in Jackson, just outside of where I am, which is just me in a box with Voldemort written on the box in pen. Just me shouting, "Would anybody like to smoke some opium with me? Harry Potter." Okay, thank you one and all for listening to Podtoid. God, it always feels disingenuous because I know that we've given everyone a bad time. Thank you all again for your patience and understanding and humouring us. This is really one of my favourite parts of my week. Thank you for listening, and I've been Jim Sterling, and Tara Long is gone. Dead. Max Scoville, bye.
Bye-bye.
You can catch him and Tara every week on
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Actually, if you get a chance, we're going to be doing a live episode on Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. You might not even be listening to this by then.
Why didn't you say that at the beginning in the big
because I forgot.
You stupid woman!
Is that going to be a long one? Is that going to be like one of the hour ones?
I don't think so. Probably not.
Oh, I like those long ones.
Yeah,
if you can do it, just try it.
Yeah,
you come on, don't do that. Come on.
All right. Yeah, that's me. I gotta pee.